What's up, guys? This is the Gospel According to Mark with a C. He is I, and I am he. Just taking some time to tell you exactly what's on my mind. Thank you for joining me once again, my friends. Hope all is well with you. And guys, to the surprise of no one, it has become quite apparent that the Marvels is a certified flop. A flop, I say, a floppa. However, in the industry's attempt to justify or explain this thing away, they've turned to the same song and dance that they've always done over these past years, and that is to blame the customers, to blame the fans, to blame the viewers, the money-paying public, which to me makes about as much sense as someone going into a restaurant, being displeased with their meal, being vocal about it, and having the manager come out and say to you, "Clearly the problem is you, sir. You, sir, are a racist. You must have found out that we have a black chef. That's what it is. It can't be that you're just displeased with the food, with the product. No. It's got to be that you have a problem. It's you, the one who's actually paying money." You know what I mean? It makes about as much sense to that, to me. But that's what they keep hitting us over the head with. In no other industry will you find this except in show business, where you can pay money for something, say that you didn't like it, and then get insulted by the people that you paid the money to. But that's what we have going on here, guys. So the last thing they're going to do is possibly accept the fact that it was an objectively bad movie. That's not to say that some people couldn't have enjoyed the Marvels. After all, I love Tiana Paris. I love looking at her. I'm always going to love looking at her. I don't care what movie it is. Even if it's a bad movie, I'm still like, heck, damn, she is fine. You know what I mean? But I can still say that it was an objectively bad movie. I have the right to say that. But the conversation has come around to, as usual, what's the problem with the fandom? Why is the fandom so toxic? Why is it so full of hate? And so we get the usual hit pieces that are being written. You even had that nut job Stephen King come out and speculate that, it's just the fanboys saying, ew, it's girls, yuck, he says on Twitter. The usual go-to, in your mom's basement, not getting any ass, the usual stuff, guys, the insults. And then they wonder why we don't go back to these movies, why so many of us have washed our hands of this. We tried to tell them we're the actual paying customer. This is what we want to see. But they continue to weave the narrative the way that they want to weave the narrative. And you know what tells you and what tells me that they're disingenuous? The fact that they choose to ignore voices like mine, the fact that they choose to ignore women also who don't want to see this. A lot of people don't want to see the Marvels. It didn't make a lot of money. I think it's the lowest money-making movie in the MCU. The lowest rated. Nobody likes this. Why wouldn't women like this? I'm going to speculate here because I've listened to women speak about this kind of thing. Women go to these movies the same way that men go to these movies. They want to see ordinary people doing extraordinary things. All right. A lot of them want to see the male hero. They might want to see female heroes, yes, but they want to see the male hero because a lot of women also want to see that strong man. They are attracted to men who take care of them, who can protect them. They want to see that. How many out there are married? All right. When your wife sees a spider in the house, right? Chances are she's going to call the man to come and kill that spider. Oh my God. Oh, Henry, come kill the spider. You know what I mean? It's like, yes, she's capable of killing the spider herself, but she loves to think that her man is capable of protecting her. If a prowler breaks into the house and the man and woman are in bed, what would a man look like saying, honey, I think there's someone in the house. Go downstairs, honey. I'll wait here. Go check it out. No. It goes against the natural order of things. Okay, the audience is speaking to you, Marvel, MCU, Disney. Your problem is that you really do have an agenda. You really do want to reprogram your audience, or you want to get to the kids and raise up a whole new audience to believe the way that you want them to believe. That's the problem. But no. It's got to be about hatred. Hatred is the explainer for everything. They just explain everything away. You saw that with Director X. You just came into it wanting to hate it. You just wanted to hate it. But once again, you skip over anyone that goes against that narrative. You don't want to talk to me because you'd rather say that your critics are racist. It's kind of hard to do that. when you got this type of skin. You know what I mean? It's kind of hard for them to sell that when you're a woman and you're trying to say that it was because they were sexist. You see what I'm saying? But no, it's got to be about hatred, right? So that brings me to the next thing, right? We're going to talk about Pedro Pascal in the rumor, I believe. I don't know if it's been confirmed yet. Get in the comment section and let me know that he's going to be playing Mr. Fantastic in the upcoming Fantastic Four movie. Now, the Fantastic Four was one of the very first comics that my mom bought for me. I love the Fantastic Four. Always loved them. I loved them as they were drawn on the page, as Jack Kirby and Stan Lee created them. I love those characters. Mr. Fantastic, The Thing, the Human Torch, the Invisible Girl. Yes, I said Invisible Girl because that's the way she was named when it first came out. All right, so I love them. Okay, but of course, the news that Pedro Pascal, the it actor of the day, who seems to turn up in just about everything, has been cast, has caused a bit of a disturbance, if you will, amongst the fans. And of course, the conversation only goes as far as hate. You're hating. You know what I mean? But once again, if you didn't skip over certain voices, right? Because of course it has to go to race, right? It's got to go to race. Pedro Pascal is, Latino. And of course, that's going to be their defense. That's going to be their defense. You're just hating because he's a Latino in this role. Once again, the Fantastic Four, I've loved them for years. The Fantastic Four, they're white. They just are. You know what I mean? And generations of people recognize them as such. So to see this uproar and this flimsy defense always being put out there is a shame. Pedro Pascal is a great talent. He's a great actor. I've loved him since I saw him in Game of Thrones as Oberyn Martell. I knew he was a star then. Everything that he's in, I loved him in The Mandalorian and stuff like that. But just because he's a great actor doesn't necessarily mean that he's right for that role. And there's nothing wrong with saying that. There's nothing racist about saying that. Like, take for example, okay, back in the 80s, for you young bucks out there was a show called The A-Team. Okay, The A-Team starred, George Papard and Mr. T, and who else was it? The guy who played Faceman, right? Dirk Benedict. And of course, Howling Mad Murdoch. But anyway, the point is, right, is that Mr. T played B.A. Baracus, right? And let's say they did an update on this, another one, because they did one a couple of years ago, and they reimagined Mr. T or B.A. They reimagined B.A. as a white man. And why wouldn't they? There was nothing about B.A. Baracus that was specifically made to be black. He was just a badass character. As a matter of fact, his name, B.A., stood for, not black ass, but it stood for bad attitude. Okay, so bad attitude Baracus. He could be played by a white person. I think the same people who are saying that they have a bit of a problem with Pedro Pascal playing Mr. Fantastic, maybe not so good for the role, maybe, giant talented actor, would also be those same people who would say, we're not so cool with, Chris Pratt playing B.A. Baracus. You know what I mean? It's just, there are certain characters that you fall in love with. And there's nothing wrong with that. These characters are made for us to love. Some of them are made for us to hate. We love to hate them. But for the most part, we love these characters. We've taken them into our hearts and we identify them the way that they are to be identified. As a black man, it does not threaten me that the Fantastic Four is all white. It doesn't threaten me. These are great characters. I've always related to The Thing, Ben Grimm. I've talked about this in videos many times before. But the problem is, unfortunately, is that Hollywood is doing a lot of stunt casting now. I talked about this in many videos before. We call it a novelty. Like, they're using these protected classes as novelty acts, as something to hide behind. And unfortunately, these race swaps are usually ultimately seen as a downgrade. I haven't seen one race swapped legacy character that has gone on to actually redefine that role. Like, oh my God, he knocked it out of the park. He did things with that role that nobody else could have done. You know what I mean? He owns that now. No. Most of these characters are race swapped actors into these roles that have been traditionally white or anything else. Usually you can tell that it's just something for today. You will not see, for example, Halle Bailey acknowledged as the definitive Little Mermaid. Okay, you won't see Rachel Zegler acknowledged as the definitive Snow White. Whoever goes on to play Miles Morales, he will never be accepted as the definitive Spider-Man. In much the same way, Pedro Pascal, as good as he is, as talented as he is, as deserving as he is of all of his accolades, will not be known as the definitive Mr. Fantastic. It's just not going to happen because that's not the way that it was created. You understand what I'm saying? That's not the way that it was actually conceived to be. And the reasons why is because it was created by someone else. You understand what I'm saying? So unless you own it, you can't define it, right? Because to define it, you have to actually own it. You have to actually have created it. But that's not what we're getting. All we're getting are crumbs off of somebody else's table. And I don't understand why that's so hard for so many people to believe, to understand. But you know something, guys? Ultimately, the problem, right? The danger for our fandom is that these things exist to tear us apart. They exist to divide us. And unfortunately, and this is the last part that I'm going to do here, unfortunately, too many of us are buying into it in that we turn around and are disrespectful to one another. You must know that there are Latino people in this fandom, of course. There are black people in this fandom. There are women in this fandom. There are gay people in this fandom. And none of them are necessarily asking for this. Maybe I'm wrong, but are there any Latinos out there who actually asked for Mr. Fantastic to be reimagined this way? You know what I mean? Are there any black people out there who ask for any character to be reimagined as black? No, they give this stuff to us, in other words. They give it to us. And then, as usual, like I've said in many videos, the fandom gets divided into the whys and the why nots. All right? There are the whys, which I count myself amongst. The whys are the ones who are like, why? Why would you do this? The Fantastic Four are iconic. They're great the way that they are. You know, Mr. Fantastic is an actual white man who was born in America. All right? That's who he is, right? Why would you go and fuck with that? All right? And for anybody who says that Pedro Pascal is white, I just want to point to what Kevin Feige himself said. The reasons why he did it is because he felt like the Fantastic Four or the cast was too white. So he's the one who identified Pedro Pascal as something other than white. Okay? He did that. So that's all I'm saying, all right? So then there are the why nots, right? After the whys are like, because usually it's the whys first, right? The whys, they go first. Why are you doing this? And then, of course, here come the, well, why not? Why can't Mr. Fantastic be Latino? Why can't Mr. Fantastic be black? Why can't Mr. Fantastic be gay? Whatever. Why can't Mr. Fantastic be a woman? You know what I mean? Why not? You know, and so we open up the quarrel. You know, we just go at each other, right? And the studios just sit back like, did it again, did it again. If this movie flops, we already have an out. It's because of the fans, the toxic fans. But unfortunately, we act like we have to play this game. And so we go back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. And the funny thing about it is that the money, whatever of it is there, goes into the same pocket. So ownership, as I've said millions of times, is really what it comes down to, guys. When you're talking about the why nots, it's because you're not getting anything that's going to be long lasting. Like I said before, this will not be the definitive Mr. Fantastic. I guarantee you, right? In a couple of years, it will, or a few years, for another generation, they'll bring it back. They're not going to change it in the comics, you know? They're not going to change it as far as race is concerned, I'm talking about. You know, so, I mean, there it is, guys. I mean, unfortunately, this is what we're dealing with. We just have to be more mindful of one another, because I swear this is what this is all about. It's about divide and conquer. It's about, you know, just making people fight and everything and just causing disruption. So we could all do a better job of looking out for one another. All right. We don't have to be disrespectful to each other this way, because it just plays into their hands, guys. Right. We are the most inclusive fandom that's out there, which is the reason why I've said for years they're fucking with the wrong fandom, because we've already been through all of this. We've already been to the conventions together. We sit in the movie theaters together. We've been through the comic shops together. So there's no need for us to be fighting each other now. But anyway, guys, that's my my opinion, my views on this. You guys can get in the comment section and let me know how you feel about these developments as far as the Marvels flopping. You know, do you think it's fair to dump on the fans? I mean, look, I'm preaching to the choir. I know you guys already know the answer to this. But how do you feel about that? How do you feel about the possibility, I don't know if it's been confirmed, of Pedro Pascal being cast as Mr. Fantastic? As always, guys, you can like, you can share, you can subscribe. Thank you for your support. Thank you guys so much for sticking in there with me. I wish I could do videos more often, but single father, hardworking, overtime type stuff. I'm just glad that you're here. Thank you guys for the super thanks too. I really do appreciate that. I'll catch you on the next one. This is The Gospel According to Mark with a C. Rock on.